All right, we're ready to get started with our PlanScan session where we're going to do a deep dive into our latest product. You can see from this screen our slogan for PlanScan is "Pull it, scan it, plan it." If you can come up with how we came up with that, if you know where that's coming from, please put it into the chat. I see Whitney has
We got
already figured
somebody.
it out. Probably
Wow.
not going to be the final the final slogan, but it's the best we've got right now.
She nailed it right away. Yep,
Perfect.
That's another
Bob.
entering into our AirPod drawing right there.
Yep, there you
Nice.
go. All right, so we'll get started with this session. So the agenda for this one is we're going to go into an introduction about PlanScan, kind of show you the main features, why we made it, what it is, that type of stuff. Then we'll talk about what we see for the future for it, and how we're going to integrate it with our existing products. Then we'll do a Q&A. So start with our introduction. So what is it? PlanScan at its core is a tool to facilitate pole planning, both virtually and physically. It was forged out of a proof of concept created by Param Mosievi at Barton Mallow, who created an Excel-based way for you to print out sticky notes with QR codes on them, scan them, and then update that Excel sheet with the updated data from a pole planning session. It's a great idea because it eliminates or it actually allows you to get the data off of that sticky note board and put it back into some type of database, so where you can do some more work. You can create reports from. So why did we make it? So we started talking with Bart Mallow and Param and the team that had been using PlanScan. And we kind of forged a collaboration there where we would take that proof of concept and we would create a full-fledged software offering out of it. So the reasons why we were interested in doing this is we were very interested in eliminating the limitations from traditional sticky note based pole planning, as well as the limitations from the existing software offerings that exist around pole planning these days. So starting off with the traditional sticky note based pole planning, some of the problems with that is they're often handwritten because they're sticky notes. Sometimes you can't read it afterwards. Sometimes it gets a little messy after a while. The other thing is there's no connection back to your master schedule. And the last thing is that the documentation really is just that sticky note board. You put all these sticky notes up there. You have this great dialogue about how activities are going to impact other activities and what one contractor has to do before another contractor can do their work. Pole planning with sticky notes is amazing for that. You really have like good conversations surrounding all those things, and you really have a good plan of attack of how you're going to finish all those activities. But at the end of the day, you just have a bunch of sticky notes on a board, and basically the documentation is a bunch of people take photos of that sticky note board, and that's supposedly your schedule for the next couple weeks. And it works okay, but it also has no connection back to a schedule. It has no actual report generated at the end of the day for everybody to have, and things like that. So that's kind of your limitations of just using sticky notes and doing pole planning yourself. The other thing that we wanted to address are the limitations of the existing pole planning software. So there's a fair amount of, there's 3 or 4 existing software platforms out there that do some aspect of pole planning. Some of those have no physical aspect, so they've completely ditched the board in a meeting room idea, which we don't believe that's a good idea, because if you completely ditch the physical aspect, you really kind of lose out on that real interaction that can happen between subcontractors when you're physically placing something on a board and saying, I'm going to do this here, and then it generates a lot of conversation surrounding, okay, well, what are all the things that need to be done before that person can start that activity here. And then some of those existing softwares, they might have a physical aspect, but they've made it they've went away from the sticky note medium. They've changed it out with slats or something like that, that are pretty restrictive on how you can place them on the board, and you have to have specialized boards in order to use them. With sticky notes, you have the kind of free-form ability to have activities overlap each other. You can stick one on top of the other. You rotate them in certain ways to mean certain things to you and your team. With some of these other software platforms, you lose a lot of that free-formness that you get with sticky notes. And ultimately, all of the software platforms that exist today are unable to facilitate a hybrid of some virtual and some physical collaboration. So we wanted to make make PlanScan into a product where we could address all of those issues, and we could actually have some of the people that are participating in poll planning not be in the room. And have some people that are also in the room, and you can kind of have a hybrid of virtual meetings and physical meetings. So how does PlanScan address these limitations? So we've created a web interface. It's in the same platform as our daily application. So it's another application just in the menu right next to our daily application. And it allows you to easily manage activities, milestones, and constraints virtually. Then you can print them onto sticky note paper. And when you go and you hit the print button, it will add QR codes to every single one of those activities. It'll have the name of the company that activity is for, the title of the activity, the area that work is being done, as well as this QR code. And what that allows us to do is when you print out all these things on sticky note paper, you can give them to your subcontractors, and you can do your traditional poll planning session with that. So now you have these beautiful sticky notes that are printed rather than handwritten, so you can read them really easily. They're very colorful. You can really identify everybody's different activities just by seeing their different colors and logos on them. And then they can take those and they can place them on a board the same way that they would normally do a poll planning session. And then once you're done with that poll planning session, where you've had that good conversation surrounding what activities are going to affect what, and what things we really can do right now and what things we can't, you take our mobile app and you just scan down the columns of the boards. So you scan every single one of those QR codes. And then all of that date information from you taking that sticky note and putting it in the column of, I'm starting this on August 13th and I'm finishing this on August 17th. Just by you placing them on the board, that now when we scan it, allows us to take all those dates and put them back into the database for use to produce reports and various other things. So once we have all that data back in, we can produce useful reports. We've got a few of them. So you can produce an actual 2-week look ahead report. So it'll actually just print out for you, similar to what this screenshot is showing, all the different activities that are happening on the job site in the next 2 weeks. It'll show you the start and finish dates of those activities and what the previous schedule said for those old starts and old finishes for each one of those activities. So you can it quickly kind of color codes and highlights things based on, did these activities slip? Has the plan changed from last week? Or are they on track and they're green and it's just the same thing over again? So it becomes this really nice report that you can just scan your board, print out your 2-week look ahead, and then that is your documentation. Everybody has all the idea of what activities are actually happening in the next 2 weeks, rather than just taking a photo of that sticky note board, which is almost impossible to read afterwards. Some other logs that you can get out of PlanScan is you can get a constraint log. So you do have the ability with the mobile app, right when you're doing the poll planning process. If somebody comes up with, oh, wait, you know what, I can't do that activity because this RFI is pending, or this submittal hasn't come back approved, or what have you, or it's going to rain tomorrow, things like that, anything like that. you can scan that activity with the mobile app and add a constraint to it right there. So you can kind of identify the different constraints that are happening on your job, and then you can print off that that constraint log, and it's just that kind of log of all these things that we need to get resolved soon. Otherwise, it's blocking a lot of these activities that we want to get done. And then the third useful report that we can get out of PlanScan is what is called a PPC log, or a percent per a plan complete log. So that is a log that tells you how well you and your team are planning. You know, when somebody puts an activity on a board, they're essentially saying, I will get this done, or I will start this activity on this date and I will finish it on this date. And that's a promise. So if that activity changes later on, then we know that, you know, some things are out of our hands on a construction site, but sometimes things just don't get done as fast as people thought they would get done. So it's just kind of a log that tells you, all right, this is how well you're planning over the course of your job. And hopefully, you know, at the beginning, you might be subcontractors might be promising things they can't deliver, or sandbagging a little bit and delivering on things way earlier than they had promised. And all those things kind of come out in the PPC log, so that everybody can kind of get on track with, all right, let's actually do real planning and really understand how long these activities are going to take, and let's have a realistic view of how long these things are going to take for us. Another thing that I'm going to jump to this. Another thing that we added to PlanScan, which is really helpful for like pre-meetings, doing those the poll planning meetings, is we have this automatic review functionality where you can click on, it tells you how many activities you need to review to say, are these done or not? Because people have said that they were going to be done by a date in the past. There's a quick view. You just click one button and it tells you, hey, you've got to review these activities because they said they were going to be done. Are they done? So you kind of have that check process that needs to happen before your next poll planning session to say, all right, did these get done? If yes, you can just mark them as completed with one toggle. If not, you can jump into the poll planning session, and everybody can understand, okay, well, we've got to push this activity out another few days because this and this happened. So let's see what that affects with all the rest of the activities that are in your job. Another thing that PlanScan does is it allows you to link in your master schedule. And it does this in a way of allowing you to take an export from P6 of all your activities and then import those directly into PlanScan to create all the activities in PlanScan. So you don't have to go in there and, you know, manually type in all these new activities and things, or you can get an Excel spreadsheet from your subcontractors of all the activities that they plan on doing. And then you load those in to PlanScan. You print up, or you can have the ability to split those activities to add some more granularity. Because as we know, a lot of times your P6 schedule, your master schedule will only have kind of long duration activities, things that aren't good for poll planning. Poll planning needs those shorter, you know, week-long activities so that you can actually break all the work up and understand where the handoffs between each one of the pieces of work are. So a lot of times you'll need to split those activities. So we have a split functionality inside of PlanScan that will allow you to take a big activity and split it up into a bunch of small activities. And then it remembers that the link back to that big activity that's in P6. So then when you're done with your poll planning and you've moved around all those little activities and things, you can export those activities back into P6 by exporting an Excel spreadsheet that you load back into P6. And this allows you to, you know, have the granularity that you need for poll planning, but then also take all that granularity and that planning and see if that affects any of the large activities that are inside of your master schedule. And it will automatically update P6 for you when you update those, or when you import it back into P6. So now we've kind of closed the loop of doing your master schedule planning to your granular pole planning, and how that final kind of update loop back into your master schedule to see how things are shaking out. And another thing about PlanScan is, it is built into our platform, the same platform that Daily is built into, and it has the same philosophy built, or we used the same philosophy when we were building it. There's full transparency between everybody. That means that everybody's activities are there. You can see them. Any of your subcontractors can go in there. They can't edit other people's activities, obviously, but they can create their own. They can add more. They can print reports. They can print those 2-week look aheads. They can print off an Excel list of all their activities if that's how they want to use the data. But they have easy ways of accessing all of the data, and everybody has that. We do that because we want to foster better job site collaboration. We also, on all these activities and constraints, we always have a conversations tab so that everybody can talk about an activity right in the software if you need to. And you can even opt to have some of that conversation printed out on the sticky note so that you have kind of those notes about an activity when you go to actually plan that activity in the pole planning sessions. And then we always try to make things as easy to use as possible for the less technical. As we know, a lot of people are not super tech savvy when it comes to using construction software. So we try to make it pretty obvious, have large buttons for adding activities, make it obvious like what you're doing and why you're doing it all throughout the entire interface. And then the other thing that we have added to PlanScan 2 is we always have a virtual view of that of the pole planning board. So even if you wanted to, you could use PlanScan completely virtually. It would show all those activities in that Gantt chart at the top, and you could do your pole planning over a Zoom conference or something like that if you wanted to as well. You would just edit. You can click on those activities in the Gantt chart, edit the dates right there, and then boom, you're done. Print your new 2-week look ahead, and you're off to the races. So that was a really quick overview of PlanScan, and we're really excited with about where it can go from here, because it by itself is a really cool tool to facilitate a kind of a hybrid physical virtual pole planning process. But we also see a world where we're able to actually integrate that a little bit into our growing suite of applications, and that includes Flypaper Daily. So PlanScan itself will be publicly available as a beta in the Q1 of 2022, so somewhere in the January-ish timeframe. We plan on doing kind of a public beta similar to how we've done with Daily. It'll be free to use at first, allow people to kind of get their feet wet in it, give us some feedback, and for us to improve upon it before we go to a paid product. And then we're really focusing on the integration that is possible between Flypaper Daily and PlanScan, because if you think about it, pole planning is you planning what you're going to do, all the activities on your job. And then a daily is just you writing down everything that you did that day. So if we can give the people that are writing the daily the ability to say that they are working on those activities that were planned in the 2-week look ahead, or even say that they're done, they could mark them as complete. And then that allows anybody that's using PlanScan to see that and have that kind of already updated when they go to do their pole planning session again. They'll already see that, all right, well, all these were marked as completed by the guys that were doing the work, and they wrote their superintendent daily or their foreman daily. And now all those dates are updated in our activities in PlanScan. So we're good to go to start doing our pole planning session again, because we don't have to go through that process of, all right, what's done, what's not done, what's that, and those types of things, because you already know from the superintendent dailies what got done and what didn't. So that's really our short-term kind of focus on the roadmap for PlanScan. And if you are interested in hearing a little bit more about PlanScan or getting involved in the beta that's coming up, please contact us at team@flypaper.com, or you can go on our website and fill out a contact us form, and we will get in touch with you to see what we can do. And you can always reach out to us on any of our other social medias and things like that. So with that, I think we'll move on to a question and answer period for PlanScan. So.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay? I just started downpouring, so pardon me if the audio is bad.
Can hear you. Yep, we're good.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, feel free to drop questions in the Q&A section or the chat box. And it looks like I already do have a question here. So this question is like about the pricing and tier model. So the question is will there be a free tier of PlanScan?
Yeah, it'll probably be very similar to what Daily is, where we'll give one free project, one free active project. Same thing with PlanScan. We haven't really narrowed everything down yet. We do know that it'll be most likely $1 per project per month type of tier model, just like Daily. We like the $1 per project rather than the $1 per user model, because the $1 per user kind of disincentivizes use and collaboration, because as you add more people, then the price goes way up, and the collaboration goes down, or the collaboration can go up that way. But what typically happens is, one or two people on a job site will get access and that's it. And then there's no collaboration that happens. So that's kind of why we're leaning toward more of $1 per project pricing model for PlanScan. But like I said, this is going to be a public beta in Q1 of 2022. And that at that point in time, it'll be completely free for use and on your projects. Besides, you will have to purchase sticky note paper. That will not be free if you want to use it in the physical space.
Which, why would you not? Sticky notes are great.
Yeah.
And along with that question, I guess there was another one here about how to join the beta. So would that be just wait until it goes live then? Is there any way to like kind of get a sneak peek of now, or like how would that work?
Yeah, I mean, we're totally willing to do demos now. Not necessarily getting people into beta. But we do want to gauge interest and to get people to contact us and let us know if they're interested, and maybe we can work something out.
Awesome. Okay. And I'm running into my last question here. So if anyone else has any, make sure you throw them in now before we move on to the next section. So another question I have here is, say, it looks like that this might be the first poll planning job for someone, and they're not super familiar with the process. Would PlanScan be a good thing for them to start out with?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, our PlanScan tool is meant to facilitate poll planning and really allow you to get the data back out of your poll planning session. So it is truly a tool that can be used right away, even if you're just starting to use poll planning. The process of poll planning, the actual like how to run a meeting and things like that, that is all still applicable to when you use PlanScan as well. So if you're familiar with like the LCI, and the last planner system, you can kind of take the training from that to like learn how to do poll planning, and you can put PlanScan right on top of that, and you can use PlanScan to better facilitate getting the data back out of your poll planning sessions and making it useful after you're done with the session.
Perfect. Okay, well, that is all the questions I have for now. If you have any other ones that pop up as we're going through, we have another Q&A during the fireside chat, and they can also just pop one in the chat or the Q&A section whenever they come up.
Great, sounds good. Yeah, so with what's next, so we're down to our last session, which is just going to be our fireside chat, where Dan and I will just chat about Flypaper and all like lessons learned and things like that over the past year, and just kind of have an informal chat with anybody that wants to chime in. And then we'll do the AirPod Pro giveaway at the end. So stick around for that.